Long live the spirit of Umntwana waphindangene, long live. Long live the spirit of Umntwana waphindangene, long live. Thank you very much. Comrades, we can be seated. Thank you very much, Program Director Umpangazita, the Deputy Secretary General of the IFP. Let me take this opportunity to greet the members of the NEC. Let me also greet all the leaders of the IFP, amakhosi asendlunkulu, all the delegates and the media. Today is the gathering of the fine minds of the IFP after extensive consultation. We meet today for the first time in a national conference since the passing of our founder and President Emeritus Umntwana waphindangene. For some of us, the last time we met together was in Ulundi at the funeral of Umntwana waphindangene. It has been just months since this greatest loss to the IFP. Yet we continue in strength because Umntwana laid a foundation that is unshakable, equipping us with everything we need to move forward together. We therefore honor his legacy in all the work that we accomplish over the next 2 days. We place the values and the legacy of our founder at the center. We give thanks for what he did for the IFP and for South Africa, and we commit anew to fulfilling the destiny of this party. From the very first meeting of Inkatha Inkululeko Yesizwe in 1975, this organization has existed to serve South Africa. For almost half a century, we had shaped the cause of our nation by providing a leadership of integrity that always points to justice, stability, peace, and hope. The IFP has been the champion of democracy, working to create the society in which everyone can make their contribution, claim their stake, and fulfill their highest potential. With every election we have contested from 1994 to the present day, the IFP has presented its policies to the electorate and asked for people's mandate to lead. We have been clear about what we believe in and what we stand for, and our core values have never changed. And at this point, the IFP is a known quantity in South Africa political landscape. Policies, however, must evolve because needs evolve and new challenges emerge that demand solutions. In 1994, nobody was talking about corruption and load shedding. But in 2024, any political party that does not have a solution to corruption and load shedding has no place in the ballot paper. The policies we present to the electorate in 2024 must be responsive to the immediate needs of the people while building for the long-term future of South Africa. For this reason, therefore, the IFP continually assesses its policies. We regularly revisit our position on critical issues to ensure that the solutions we offer remain the best fit for our country and our people. Over the past few months, the IFP engaged in an intensive campaign called ngaCawe, It's About You, where we met with communities across South Africa and simply listened. We engaged with what we heard and channeled it into the process of policy revision, and has been undertaken at a national level. We have shared our draft updated policies with our structures and received feedback, which saw revisions and refinement until we reached a point where we were ready for this conference. Today, we are presenting our draft policies for 2024 to the rank and file of the IFP so that our members can pick them apart and put them back together, knowing that what we agreed to over the next 2 days will produce the best possible solutions for our country. As the leadership, we have been through these draft policies with a fine-tooth comb. We are confident, and I am confident, that what we are going to table today is the product of careful consideration, deep insight, and wide consultation. These policies provide an implementable vision that can genuinely turn South Africa around. But I know from long experience that the best way to find the weakness in a good plan is to give it to the people whose lives will be affected when that plan is implemented. I have no doubt that today and tomorrow, as we debate these policies, insights will come into light that change how we view certain ideas. We may even need to change our draft policies as we depart tomorrow. That is the very point of this conference. We are not here just to rubber stamp policies that have been developed without having a chance to influence, shape, or even change those policies. We are here to really engage with the ideas and to ask the difficult questions. I therefore want to thank you for traveling from across South Africa to attend this policy conference. And I also want to thank you for the contribution you will make to our discussions over the next 2 days. I invite you to debate robustly within the IFP's framework of respect and discipline. Where there is disagreement, I ask that we give each other a space to express our views, and that we remain respectful of one another as colleagues in the IFP. Let us not lose the sight of the end goal. The purpose in meeting like this and in discussing these draft policies is to find the best possible solutions that will meet the needs of our country. There will, of course, be compromise, and there will be differing views as we discussed. But ultimately, we are members of the IFP because we believe in what the IFP stands for. We need to ask ourselves not, is this best for me? No. But we must ask a question, is this best for us? Is this best for South Africa, not for me? Before we begin the critical work, it is important that we place this conference in the context of 2024 next year. Next year will be a watershed moment and a turning point for South Africa. The chances are high that the ruling party, for the very first time since 1994, will achieve less than 50% majority. That opens the door to a fundamental change in governance. The IFP is ready to lead and ready to govern. We are going into 2024 seeking the mandate of the people to change the policies, laws, and structures of our country. We have heard all the slogans being bandied about that 2024 is our 1994. There is truth in this slogan. The 2024 elections are unlike the 2019 elections or the 2014 elections or any elections that has gone before. They will not be business as usual, delivering the expected results and seeing very little change. The 2024 elections have a lot in common with the 1994 elections. They present a very real opportunity to shift power back into the hands of the people. In 2024, we want change on the scale of 1994. Last week, our country marked 10 years since Madiba's passing. Let me therefore quote Madiba when he spoke to COSATU the year before our first democratic elections in 1993. Madiba said, I quote, "If the ANC does to you what the apartheid government did to you, then you must do to the ANC what you did to the apartheid government," close quote. This is where South Africa is today and next year. I doubt that Madiba ever thought his words will come back to haunt the ruling party 30 years later. But that is exactly what has happened. In many ways, the ruling party has done to our people what the apartheid government did. Because they have lied to us. They have broken promises. They have kept us into poverty. They have failed the majority. They have enriched the elite. They have stolen from the people. And they have deepened racial tension and inequality. How have they remained in power for almost 30 years? There is a Turkish proverb that explains it well. It goes like this: the forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever in convincing the trees that because his hand was made of the wood, he was one of them. At this point in our nation's history, the trees must stand up to the axe, for the forest is nearly being destroyed. The country stands at the brink of the economic collapse, with large-scale disinvestment looming and the rand edging closer to the junk status. The National Treasury has been warning for years that the state coffers are empty. Yet just months ago, President Ramaphosa again reassured us that the country is not running out of money, which is not true. Every South African knows about debt. For those of us lucky enough to earn a salary will know how little is left after all our debt payments have come off. We are not making it to the end of the month, and the majority of us are living paycheck to paycheck, going deeper and deeper into debt. Multiply that exponentially, and we begin to understand our country's crisis. South Africa has a budget deficit of more than 144 billion rands. Within the first 5 months of 2023, the government overspent by 15.3 billion. The failing state monopolies of Eskom and Transnet are crippling our economy even further. We all tend to focus on Eskom because load shedding affects every one of us. But the government failed running of Transnet is estimated to have cost the country more than 401 billion rand. In the words of Volkswagen's international CEO Thomas Schaefer, South Africa's political and infrastructural failings are posing a major risk to foreign investors. He further explained it quite simply 2 weeks ago by saying, the ports are stuck. You can't even get the materials in. We have to cancel shifts because there is no electricity. This is the state in South Africa. If a major foreign investor pulls out of our country, the consequences will be severe. Volkswagen alone will cost about 50,000 jobs. General Motors already disinvested 6 years ago with hundreds of jobs lost. Here in KwaZulu-Natal, multinationals like Toyota, Defy, LG, and Massmart have made intensive investment in our economy. We cannot afford to lose them. Yet investor confidence was severely shaken by the July 2021 civil unrest, which was sparked by the unstable politics of the ruling party. And it is not just big multinationals that are feeling the pain. Local businesses are going under an alarming rate. Small, medium, and micro enterprises, which should be the backbone of our economy, are struggling to keep their doors open. Ask an entrepreneur, in fact, ask any young person trying to start up their own business. It is almost impossible and extremely likely to fail, not because of our people, but because of our government with bad policies. Good governance is continually being undermined by bad policies in South Africa. Because of the bad policies of the ruling party, which are rooted in the flawed ideology of socialism, and because they are designed to placate the ruling party's tripartite partners, the SACP and COSATU. The ruling party's policies are based on socialism, which has been discredited throughout the world as a recipe for economic disaster. But the ANC keeps on clinging on socialism, focusing on the national democratic revolution instead of focusing on the national development plan, which could have delivered the economic revival in South Africa. Indeed, the ruling party is not alone in chasing the flawed ideology. For all its rhetoric about being young and relevant, the EFF's foundational ideology was designed 10 years before it was even born. They refuse to move. They refuse to move out of the mindset of nationalization. Why on earth should we believe that the state will run our mines and our banks with integrity when they have run our energy and infrastructure into the ground? Why? There is no logic. And instead of admitting their failure and fixing it, they just keep digging. In 1994, more than 19 million South Africans voted. That constituted 86% of all eligible voters, people aged between 18 and above at the time of the elections. But the voter turnout has been steadily declining since 1994. By the time of our last national and provincial elections in 2019, only 49% of eligible voters actually cast their vote. Less than half of the people of South Africa who could vote did in 2019. Today, we are sitting with 14 million South Africans who are no longer willing to participate in the democratic process, and another 13 million that have not even registered to vote as they have no intention to cast their vote next year. Today, there are more South Africans failing to vote that actually cast doubt in the active participation of our citizens as we did in 1994. That says something about the state of our democracy. It is even a democracy where the representatives of the people were elected by less than half of the people in South Africa, 49%. There is a narrative that says South Africans are disillusioned with politics, that they no longer vote. Instead, they protest. And when we see the rise of violent protest, it is easy to believe that it is where people are seeking their answers. But the recent studies have shown that only around 16% of our population say that they participate in protest, while 58% have participated in community meetings. And that is a good indication in South Africa. In other words, there are good things happening quietly throughout the country. Service delivery may grab the media attention, but there are far more South Africans engaging with issues through organized platforms of public participation. That is very good news for South Africa. As the IFP, we experiment and experience such. We see this at the local level in all the municipalities we govern. Whenever we call the community meeting, people come in numbers to attend the meetings of the IFP-led government structures at a local and district level. They come ready to talk, ready to listen, and ready to debate. People want to engage their representatives and make their voices heard. We saw it again during our NgoNgawe campaign while we were preparing for these policies for 2024. And we saw in every public meeting we had, people came to engage the IFP leaders. There is therefore power in IFP's approach of working hand in hand with the people we serve. There is power in partnership and participative politics. That is where the real work is being done and where results are being delivered. The IFP's policies, therefore, are based in its ideology, participative democracy. We believe in making the tough calls for the sake of the greatest benefit to the largest number of our people, while setting up contingency plans so that no one is left behind. We believe in getting the power closer to the people, devolving it to the lowest level of governance, enabling communities to design their own solutions to their unique challenges. The IFP believes in empowering communities in self-help and self-reliance, in servant leadership, in integrity, and in doing the right thing at the right time. This is the legacy Umntwana waPhindangene left us, and we are all responsible for walking in it. Our founder left the IFP in a strong position. He did all what he could over years to equip us so that we could continue walking in strength after his time with us has ended. And that is what we are doing. As we will be debating the draft policies that will be tabled today, we are preparing the IFP's commitment to the people of South Africa in 2024. We are putting together a uniquely IFP offering implementable solutions that meet the needs of our country. The power behind the policies of the IFP is the consultation process, because all good intentions remain good in paper if they are not implemented by leaders who are capable, willing, and honest. For the IFP's policies to translate into the solutions South Africa needs, the IFP needs to be backed by votes. We need numbers. I therefore want to encourage all of us who are present here to mobilize support for the IFP like never before. We cannot rest at our laurels. We cannot rely on the upswing of support we have received in the past. We cannot even rely on winning many disillusioned voters of the ruling party unless we invest ourselves in campaigning. Sheng taught us through his words as well as his example. Through his words, he taught us the value of self-help and self-reliance, the importance of empowering people, the centrality of service. Through his example, he taught us to leave a legacy. There is no time more critical to do that than now, when the legacy we leave can be the legacy to change South Africa. Comrades, there is one further issue that I must address before we begin our deliberations, and that is the issue of the multi-party charter. The IFP is no stranger to coalitions. We have worked with other parties for decades, seeking common goals. Umntwana kaPhindangene himself taught us to always engage across political boundaries, to build bridges and to find common ground. Through his leadership, South Africa's first non-racial, non-discriminatory government was born, the KwaZulu-Natal Joint Executive Authority. It was a coalition government that pointed the way to a government of national unity. The IFP has entered into the multi-party charter for South Africa, but the IFP remains autonomous. We will contest the 2024 elections as an independent IFP. We will campaign alone, no joint campaigns. The policies we designed over the next 2 days will be the IFP policies. Our manifesto will be the IFP's commitments. and any votes casted for the IFP will go to the IFP. The Charter is a commitment to work with the like-minded organization after the elections to create a government that will be an alternative to remove the government that has failed us over the past 30 years. This undertaking is our commitment to South Africa to put the country first. That in itself is an IFP principle. We will not compromise on who we are or what we believe in. The IFP is a brand that South Africa needs, because South Africa needs a leadership she can trust, and that is the IFP. Thank you very much.
Amandla.